Welcome back to Blast Guys Reviews. In this review, we are going to be taking a look at the very new G.I. Joe Classified Series Iron Grenadier member, Darklon. So for all you package collectors, here's the box we're used to seeing. We got the name at the top. Nice one in the box. Iron Grenadiers, Cobra insignia right there in front of you. The G.I. Joe Classified logo on the front. Everything we expected to see. Looks pretty good. I'm loving how you can see the most of the figure and most of the accessories, but I think what's really going to be cool about this is that new sword, that broadsword that he has. Looks absolutely amazing. And here's a look at the back of the box. So one thing I do really like about this packaging is the image on the back. It has Darklon. It looks like he's in that old school street fight scene where he's got all the Grenadiers around. He's going to go ahead and, he's either fighting for money or he's going to fight for status within the Iron Grenadier Legion. I think it looks really cool. You get the bats and Iron Grenadier members in the back. And obviously, we can't see the full circle, but it looks to be some kind of combat testing of his skills there. Nice highlights of the alternate head you get, which is kind of new. Some shells are on his thigh there. It looks pretty cool. Other than that, most of the box has a lot of stuff no one cares about and makes the packaging looks quite ugly in my opinion. There's the top of the box. This is 155 in the line, if you're keeping track. There's the bottom of the box. There's UPC if you trying to find this, track it down, Target, Walmart, whatever like that in store. But there you go, pause and write that down. The side of the box looks really cool. I love the artwork of Darklon. That's his original mask. Looks pretty cool. I know a lot of people don't like the colored tones, but I think it looks pretty, awesome because it is Iron Grenadier, so he's got to stand out pretty good. And we have the alternate side here with the specs, QR code. Alright, here is outside the packaging. Looks absolutely amazing in my opinion. Let's take a look at him because I think that his head sculpt is one of the coolest head sculpt I've seen for this character since his introduction into the G.I. Joe action figure line. So we have the helmet or the mask, kind of like Destro. He's a relative of Destro, so this black mask is done very well. If you look inside there, the eyes, he looks like he has like a green skin tone. He has those, I'm going to call them the Sith eyes. It's kind of interesting if those are just maybe contacts, or maybe he has something, from Cobra Law, because maybe he's not human, who knows. So other than the eyes, we have the silver paint on the helmet. It looks fantastic. I love the green shirt. I love the shade of green they're using with the black, kind of camo throughout. We do have this kind of like web gear here in a sense. Looks cool. We have a shoulder pad. The black gloves, the black belt, unique colored pants with kind of the yellowish mustard kind of yellow they have. It's pretty cool. We have the pocket sculpt right on. Looks good. The boots are actually really cool because they're functional in a sense, because here you have the shells on his legs. Now this is pretty cool. Why you're asking this is pretty cool, because if everybody out there is wanting a Heat Viper, we know that on both of their legs they have removable missiles, and they are not Heat Vipers. They are high, what is that? They're tank killers, basically high efficiency anti-tank. I can't remember the abbreviation. I'm pretty close though. The black boots, we have the same colors throughout to break up the black. Looks very good. And then I think they went all out on these weapons, which we're going to take a look at. But even on the knife sleeve, it has a nice design with the silver paint. So I think this really pops in my opinion, and I'm very happy with this figure so far. And again, the gloves are black. Here's the back of it. It's the back of the head there. It's just like a mask that goes over maybe a Baklava mask or something like that, or open face mask, kind of like the Frag Vipers maybe. Pretty cool. Nothing too much to see here. Here's a little pistol case, or I'm not sure what that's for. Does it come with a pistol? We'll have to find out. There's the back of it. On his feet. All looks good. Do like it very much. So for articulation, we were into what? This is number 155 already. And I'm pretty sure it's probably not the highest number, but like, articulation is articulation. It's the same. So basically in this video, I'm going to do some other stuff. So I'm going to kind of skip the articulation because it's basically the same. If you're a classified figure, you have it. I mean, we have the butterfly joints. I would point out something if it was different. Like, you're probably wondering, how does this shoulder pad affects the articulation and range. it doesn't. You get the T-pose regardless. It does spin. There's nothing in the way. It sits pretty close to the body. The strap doesn't interfere. And if you're interested in the knees, they're just as functional as anybody else. You can bend that up, and you actually can get that's pretty devastating. You can knee something with that. But other than that, those would be my questionable parts if I just looked at it. But other than that, the articulation and range is the same. Almost all these figures. They're the same, design and tooling, so nothing's really going to change. So with that being said, let's take a look at his accessories. So first up is this pistol. He does have a little snub nose revolver. No drill port or anything, but it's just very small. That's that case that's on his back. Looks pretty good. Now, for us holding it, it is quite small. It is a snub nose revolver. So he can't put his finger through the trigger guard. Looks pretty cool. And if you're wondering, the hands are soft enough that you can put those in. They're not so hard like some of the other figures that we've seen in throughout other lines and also G.I. Joe, but it's a place to store this. Now this is going to be a little bit of a trick because of the angle. Let's get that in there. It seems to have a little bit of from being in the actual bubble itself, so kind of I think it's a little smashed up against there, but you can get it. There you go. Kind of lean the figure forward. Man, that's a tongue twister, and you can go ahead and put that in there. Pretty good. Nice place to store your weapon. Which I really can tell already. If you guys are interested, you can store all your weapons on Darklon, which is a fantastic feature. I love that for all my figures. You can carry all his gear, well, except for the alternate head, obviously. But other than that, let's move on to the knife. We have black handle, silver pommel and blade, looking very, very cool. I like the sculpt on these. I think they went all out on the melee weapons at least. And yes, you definitely can hold that. You can put it downward, upward, either hand you want to put it in, but give you an idea what that looks like. It looks pretty sick in my opinion. Pretty devastating. And which I do love for this figure is the knife and sleeve. It's a place to keep it. The paint's there. I'm not sure if that's going to rub off, with humidity and heat. It feels like it's painted, and I bet you that may be a feature if it's left in there for too long. And you may pull it out and remove some silver paint, so that could be an issue there. So be aware of that at least, but that looks pretty nice. I mean, overall the legs look sick with those rounds, those gold rounds. Pretty cool. Well, this is kind of what caught my eye when they did the reveal, was this broadsword type. This is pretty sick. I think a nice addition to Darklon. You never had this before in any of the offerings. So we have the silver and red here on the bottom of the handle. We have the red here in the center. Look at that blade. That sculpt on that blade is pretty nice. This gives you like an iconic feel, like the Power Sword or Thundercat sword. It kind of gives me that kind of vibe. It's very, very nice. It's a thicker blade. Now you can see he can hold that quite well. He can get pretty close to the body with that. That's pretty sick. If you want to. Looks pretty nice. He holds it really, really well. So you can get some really nice poses with this sword if you want to do figure photography. And what surprised me also about this figure is they spared no expense when it comes to these weapons. Look at this. This usually something you see like with G.I.JOE. Usually you just get a black sword sleeve and that's it, or scalibard. But you have the silver here at the bottom. It's sculpted in there pretty nicely. And at the top, and you have this like same color wrap that he has on his legs. It kind of gives it ownership. I like that. And it gives a weapon or something, an accessory to ownership to the character, as you can see here. That looks really dope with the silver and the same color paint. That really makes that pop, which is very, very cool. Darklon is going to stand here. Looks very nice. Now, what's really nice about this too, unlike the knife, it fits kind of snug. This fits perfectly in there, and there's room in there, just enough room to where that's not going to adhere to the inside of there and lose your paint. but then it stays in, which is pretty cool. That's what they should have done with all weapons, blades that are painted like this. That gives you a nice room. And then also you can store it on this back. Looks fantastic. Love that. Look at the color, just pops, man. This is a fantastic version of Darklon. So here we go. We have a lot of people complaining about this. It's not realistic. It's not probable, but it's G.I. Joe and his Iron Grenadiers, which has affiliation with Mars. So they got some pretty crazy weaponry. And here's almost a vintage looking style, classified styled from the vintage weapon. I'm not sure what's going on here with this thing, but it looks wicked. It's cool and it's classic. So I'm all in. And you can see he holds it quite well. It is a pain in the butt to get in there because of the angle and design of that weapon. But other than that, he can hold it pretty good. Close, as you can see, like a 90-degree. Looks very nice. Now, Darklon has his alternate head. Not sure what's going on with this. He got the metal, pretty much because of Lenny, probably. With the tongue hanging out. Different type of mask. For sure. I'm never going to use this for anything, but we'll see. But looks pretty good. Really cool. Now the head does pop off quite well. There's with the alternate head. It's not for me. It's not Darklon. It's just something Hasbro's thrown in. So to get you to buy more than one for another character, or if you're a creation or army builder that they were commenting on. But that just doesn't make sense for me as a classic collector. So I'll pass on that. Now when I first saw alternate head, I thought it was super cool, and it is. But it's no point for me to put that on my Darklon, and I'm not on me building the same body as Darklon because he's a unique character. So I thought that would be badass for a psycho bat, right? So, you know, the original V1 bats, we're getting the new comic bats here in the retro series at the end of the year 2025, but this ball peg is different than that ball peg, and unfortunately that new head sculpt does not fit on this particular bat. But the ball peg for the Iron Grenadier bats and possibly the new bats fit. So if you wanted to have some type of psycho custom bat, you could use that head for this. In this particular demonstration, it doesn't. I know this gold and silver really doesn't pop, but if the newer ones, the comic version, the retro ones are more silver, you could probably do something like this. Maybe give you a kind of a unique destroyer bat, psycho bat. You can call anything you want if you really wanted to customize something, but just want you to know that an option there. It'd been pretty cool to do that versus, you know, using Darklon. Just throw it on a bat. It fits quite well. You can see that the head spins and everything. It looks awesome. But the color palette's not there for me, but maybe if you want to customize or paint it, you can. But that's a cool option I thought I'd throw out there. But for comparisons with the rest of Iron Grenadiers, here we have the Iron Grenadier Bat and Darklon. Looks great. Here's with the alternate head if you want to go old school. There you go. And just in case you wanted to go crazy, there's a good comparison there. Here he is up next to an Iron Grenadier. That's cool. And here he is with a pair of Iron Grenadier guards. You guys, he's got backup. That looks amazing in my opinion. And bang, there he is up next to Metalhead. That's psycho. He's looking pretty good. Darklon is definitely a beefier guy. He's taller. Metalhead's always been like a smaller, moderate type dude, but Darklon is definitely a force to be reckoned with within the Iron Grenadier army. It looks fantastic. Alright, so this is kind of where we are so far with the Iron Grenadiers. Hopefully we get the Iron Grenadier Duster and the spoilers soon. And if you guys like that, let me know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. Hope you guys like this review. If you do, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, basically. And I'll see you in our next review.